Hello and welcome to this week's CMF Running podcast. I am Chris Lucas, run coach.
And I'm Charlotte Milne, run and strength coach. Coach.
And we are CMF Running. We help runners and athletes of all abilities train and smash their races.
That's what we do.
Yes.
And this week we are going to talk about mental skills for Tarawera Ultra.
Yes. Love the mental skills topic because we do all this training, like physical training, don't we? For races and events, and often we forget about sort of mental skills. We do a lot of preparation and imagining, but it's there's mental skills and mental programming that comes into play as well. And what inspired this was just seeing a couple of things. We've seen a couple of things online about the Western Okataina being referred to as Helen Back, and that it's really hard and it's a bad part of the event. And we've sort of heard the sort of feedback from some of the crew that we coach. That they've heard about that too, and so we've been doing a lot of work with our group that we coach. Just about that sort of stuff, and thought that would be cool. We'll talk about that as well later in this podcast. But first, as well, so where are we now, Charlotte?
We are currently in Te Araha, parked up, but we are on our way to Rotorua for Tarawera.
Yes, because we're almost 2 weeks out now at the recording of this podcast.
2 weeks tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we're there for
2 or 3 weeks, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we are heading down to Kapiti Coast to Te Hora to meet up with Kim, our fellow CMF coach, because Faultline Ultra is on, and
20th of April. Check it out.
Yes. Also on the 20th of April.
Oh yeah, Christchurch.
No,
Marathon.
I think it's the 21st.
Oh yeah.
Is Christchurch Marathon.
Yes.
We do road stuff as well. We do train athletes to
smash marathons,
road marathons. So
so currently we're we're not actually onboarding for Faultline 100k or miler athletes at the moment because it's getting a bit close. But a few, I know a couple of our crew are doing the Tarawera 50k, and they have intentions to then go on and knock over Faultline 50k. So if that's you and you want help smashing out Faultline 50k, give us a yell about that. And we're doing a lot of onboarding at the moment for road marathons. We coach and train runners and athletes of all types to all the road marathons in New Zealand. So give us a shout about that.
Yes,
you'll see it. We've got an ad running at the moment. Actually, you'll see it. So where should we start?
Well,
mental skills for Tarawera Ultra.
Having a plan for your race day is always a good idea.
Yeah.
But within your plan, there has to be some flexibility, because just because you've done a plan doesn't mean the plan will go to the plan, especially in running, especially if this is your first 100k or 100 miler. You're going into territory that you have never been into, so you never quite know what is going to pop up late in the later stages.
Fears and stuff, isn't there, about what's going to happen, what am I going to be like, or as well. So
so
having a plan, so in relation to mental skills, so having that plan sort of helps quieten some of those thought processes, those all over the place thoughts of what's it going to be like, or I'm scared, I'm worried about this, or so having that plan helps to kind of iron out some of that sort of stuff.
For sure. And hopefully you've done the adequate training for the distance, so you will know, you'll have some insight, and in terms of what you're good at in terms of terrain, whether it's hills, flats, or downs. So you can take that in consideration into the plan, and then things that you like to eat and that kind of thing, all that kind of stuff is part of the plan. And you can formulate the plan from all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what we do with a lot of our group, isn't it?
Mm.
Actually, we help like formulate that plan, and there's the physical nature of looking at training, key training runs that we've done in training, and looking at data and talking to the client, to the runner one on one, like how did this feel? How was this for you? Did you have any stomach problems? Or and then having that feedback loop, and then from a bunch of key runs. You can sort of get a picture of what someone's time's going to be and their experience, like how much, what they've done before and that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I suppose, like, why do we plan? You plan because you have like an outcome, such as a time that you've got in mind, right? So you're putting in these, these procedures to get you to that outcome, so that you equal that time. This plus equals this time.
Yeah, all these variables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's the amazing, cool, fun thing about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
To do, yeah.
Which is really like good. Otherwise, if you just got to the start line, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna go for a run and see what happens. I don't know if I'm going to be 15 hours or I'm going to be 20 hours, but I'm just going to start the run and just go. So obviously, having a plan is good for that. But the thing that you need to be wary of is that you need to have some indication of your outcome, like the time, but you need to make sure that you plan the process, not just the outcome.
Yeah.
And what that means is that you need to break down the very moment that you're in, and if you've got a problem, you need to problem solve. If you're feeling good, you need to write it. You need, and then you also just need to enjoy the day out there. Even though
we don't want it to be a stressful activity, and so that is what happens, we all make plans. It's just like life, isn't it? We make plans, and how often does a plan in life go to plan exactly? I would say never. Hardly to never, because there's always variations in the outcome, and so it's the same with race day. And so I think it's just great to know and acknowledge and accept, going into race day, that there is going to be things pop up, and not to be worried about these sorts of things when they do come up, and welcome the challenges that come up, and just be like, oh, okay, this is something that I didn't expect to pop up, and I'm going to have to solve. That's cool. No worries.
For sure. I find that quite often a person that is just really fixated on the outcome, the time, it's usually actually kind of unrealistic as well. It can be a really common thing. So they want to achieve this amazing time, and whereas they've kind of literally missed the process of what it requires to get to that time. And it's usually commonly to feed an ego or something like that.
Totally.
When you've got this kind of unrealistic time, and you're like, once I get to the finish line and I do a 15-hour 100K, I'm gonna be the man, that kind of thinking. And there's 99 Ks before you get, or 100 in this case 103 Ks before you get to the last K of the finish, the
or
finish
100 mile.
yeah. It's a lot of Ks before the finish line.
Yeah. Yeah, you can only run the K you're on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right now is where you are.
And you've only got your physiology that you've developed, from your training as a runner or an athlete. And so therefore you can only run your race as well, and not someone else's. Yeah.
Yeah, a good mantra I take into races is I can only do my best, not someone else's best. And so that kind of just shrinks it down to you at this very moment in this race. Yes, there are people around you, and yes, people can help you get to the finish line, but you are out there to do your own race. And I was saying this to a client yesterday, if you're talking to Sally and Sally is actually not running at your pace, and you're gonna have to run off, then don't be afraid to just have chats with people, but then run off, that kind of thing. Because if you're feeling good and you can run faster, then do.
And if Sally's not in any strife that needs your help.
That's right. That's right.
See you, Sally.
See you, Sally.
So I think personality types is like in relation to planning. Personality types do come into it a little bit, and that's what we noticed with our group. Like some personality types are real cruisy. You're a bit on the cruisy side, with like planning your race day and that kind of thing.
Yes.
So yeah, some personality types are real cruisy and they don't like doing too much planning. And then we have other folks who are like want to plan like to the T, and that's actually fine. Like both ways are fine. Like you can't put everyone in like one box. Like this is what you got to do. So in relation to planning, it's about how does your personality type fit into planning? So maybe if you're a real cruisy person, like just doing a little bit of planning is probably a good idea. Just to get a little bit of planning in there, just so you're not so cruisy that your crew don't know what's going on, what time you're showing up, and that kind of thing. Like just a little bit of process there. And then at the other end of the spectrum, if you're like hardcore, want to plan everything meticulously, that's also great. But then just knowing that, like it's okay for things not to go to plan on the day and for adjustments to be made along the way. I think just that's where the meeting in the middle sort of comes, like.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it was a funny just sort of thing. Like when I did Tapu 100K, I was super cruisy, but there was a lot of stuff I didn't know. Like there was a big education piece missing, and fortunately you did a lot of the thinking and the planning for me, so I was able to piece together a pretty good race. But so that can be a case sometimes if you're like, nah, I'll be sweet, but it's like you don't. Sometimes you need to know a little bit. It's like to execute a better race for yourself.
Yeah. And maybe you just don't even care about your race or your day or outcome. It's an interesting.
Maybe, I don't know. I can't relate.
Yeah, okay. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think we're coaching those individuals.
Yeah,
we don't really come across those individuals much. Occasionally.
No.
Yeah.
I think
that was probably a mismatch. Like a coaching and client mismatch.
Potentially
for us.
Yeah. And
that's cool though, and that's the awesome thing about running. Like everyone's got their journey. Yeah. Everyone's got their different journey to the finish line and how they view like their running and stuff like that. It's great.
So, maybe your crew. Obviously, your crew is probably in the know of your plan.
Yeah. Which is a good thing. Yeah.
Yes, because they need to know when you're going to. They don't want to be at an aid station like 5 hours too early or 2 hours too late.
And they want to be open to adjustments happening along the way too.
Yes, because. Especially 100-mile, who knows what you're going to be like when you get to certain points in the race. And
you can have a flat spot when you didn't expect to, and earlier than you thought, and then finish strong and all sorts of stuff.
That's right.
And also, I think as the runner, I think it's good. Just to acknowledge with yourself and your support crew, your family, whoever's there crewing you, whatever, that this is your day and this is your time to shine. Like this day is about you. It's especially if it's like your first 100K or miler, or you're coming back to seriously smash it or something like that. Like this day is kind of your day, and you're sort of your family or your crew are there to support you. So it's good to not. Sometimes as the runner we can feel a little bit of pressure, and it's just in our minds. It's more like, oh, is our crew all right? Are they all right? Am I what are they gonna do? And I'm out here running. They'll be waiting all day, and I guess we just sort of want to remove sort of thoughts like that, and and maybe if it's something that you're worried about, then speak to your supporters that are with you on the day.
For sure.
and they'll just be probably like, "What are you talking about? Well, I'm here for you."
Yeah. You just
So whether it's fancied or real, like the crew pressure that we can put on ourselves as runners, it's good to like acknowledge it and have it out in the open at the same time. If that's something that you're thinking about.
Yeah, and on the flip side, like it's kind of like what happened with your dad as well. That's kind of like crew pressure, but for you,
it's like support pressure. Yeah. So when I did my 100 miler at Tarawera a few years ago, 4 years ago now, I like sort of guilt tripped my dad to come down. Like my dad in his mid-70s, I was like, "Yeah, come down for my race." And he's not really interested in the running. It's like in that sort of way. He's not a runner or whatever. I'm like, "Yeah, come down for my 100 miler. It would really mean a lot to me." And he wasn't really interested. Anyway, I like sort of guilt tripped him down there to Rotorua. And the plan was to like, I think, you were going to take him to like
that's right,
Ruru Whakaitu, which I think was the 55-ish K mark that year. And see him at that part of the day, perhaps even Buried Village too. We were going to see him a couple of times during the day and then at the finish line. And but it turned out that the pressure that was it was causing me a bit of internal pressure of like, oh, will he be all right? Bored waiting? Will they be bored waiting? He'll be like, what are we doing here? Or it was just like that sort of stuff. So we ended up like removing that like pressure by just saying to him to come to the finish line, and that made my run a lot better.
Yeah.
So things like that. It's personal preference, a lot of that sort of stuff.
For sure. And
so should we get on to this Helen Back?
Yes, I think so.
It's been coined Helen Back, the sort of 50k out and back, which includes Western Okataina. Great to talk about. And I think it's like you are what you tell yourself, right?
Totally.
You are what you tell yourself. So if you are telling yourself 2 and 3 weeks out from an ultra marathon that a 50k out and back section is hell and back, and that you're not looking forward to it and it's going to be terrible, then guess what?
It's going to be all bad.
It's going to be terrible.
It's going to be hell and back.
Yeah, please don't tell yourself that. Let's make some new thoughts about this part of the course.
Yes, I think one of the sort of mental skills that I use is like visualization in races. And, I think that if I visualize that as part of this course, it doesn't necessarily even have to be like and back. Like there could be a hell and back in any race, right? So it's not really to do with, the specific race and the specific section of the race.
And every race has like its hard, like challenging sections, or like typically ultra is sort of hard. It's like you sort of have that challenging middle section too.
Totally.
Not quite over the halfway mark, and the finish line's not quite pulling you in yet. You sort of those sorts of things come into play as well.
Yeah,
it's just what it is. What it is on any race, isn't it?
Okay, well then it also like to circle back to Tarawera, like Helen Back is 50Ks, aka half of the 100K course or a decent chunk of the miler as well.
Yeah.
So that is a long time to be in Helen Back, It's a long time.
It's a long time to be having a shit day.
I don't know if you do the math, but in 100K, that's half the time.
Yeah.
And, in the miler, it's like almost it's a third, almost.
Yeah.
So there's some really nice parts about this part of the track, the course.
Let's talk about some positives.
This is what you should be thinking and telling yourself.
Reframe some thoughts here. So we got one is you're going to be running through Okaraka and Boys Beach, and you'll see heaps of people on the course.
Yes, and you'll see people in the public as well. Like,
It
will just
Boys Beach. If it's a nice day, Boys Beach is busy. There's people enjoying the lake at Okaraka. You're running through like the suburbs.
Yeah,
it's just nice seeing people going about the day. They'll cheer for you. You'll see them.
When you start this, like it's only 30 odd Ks in, so you are going to be feeling good. It's like flick a switch. Okay, I'm shit now.
Yeah, you're still going to be like fresh in the early part of the day. Yeah. When you start that section, you'll be able to get messages out to your support crew for the majority of that section. So, yeah, this is like right by Rotorua. Like, you're not way out. Like normal years, you're sort of starting in Kawerau and working your way in. You're not way out in the middle of nowhere. There are some patches of the out and back where, you do lose a bit of signal, and you may have some patches with no signal, but for the majority of the course, you'll be able to get messages out to your support crew. So that's pretty cool. Like, just being able to be like, hey, just got to this section. Like, yeah, that's always a nice thing.
Yes. You'll see other 100k and 100-mile runners coming the other way, or both ways.
Yeah.
So
you might have some miler people overtaking you, or whatever.
Yeah. So there's just going to be just a flurry of people.
Yeah. So it's going to be a busy course. That's pretty awesome. Like, yeah, you're not out there on your own in the middle of nowhere.
Nope. You'll be like, oh my gosh, too many people.
Yes.
Maybe.
The forest is beautiful. So the forest in, Rotorua, Whakawera, where the start of the race, or the start of the 100k is anyway, and the last part of the race after Blue Lake for all distances is pine forest. So still nice, but the forest on the Western Okataina out and back is beautiful native forest.
It is.
It's so nice. It's really just beautiful, and there's sections of the ground that are like, nice and soft and just beautiful, and the smell. It's just spectacular. Something to be enjoyed as you're going through it.
Yeah, definitely. And the next thing that's about this part is the challenge. It would be a dull race if there wasn't a challenge in it. This 100k isn't, around a track or anything like that. We're here, to do trail running. So that's going to mean hills, and it's going to mean downs. So, it's kind of going back to the training.
Yeah, and your strengths, and what are things that you're great at as a trail runner, and maybe not so great at, and working with that, with the gradients of what's presented to you.
Yeah, and just like, hopefully it's a challenge, but it's not like hell, to use a bit of a word, because you haven't done the training. If you, the first you've ever ran is a marathon, I don't know what, half marathon, and then you're doing 100k, and you haven't done any training or whatever, that might be a bit too hard. But if you've done the training, it should be pretty sweet. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
So there's an 18k section from the Okataina aid station back to Miller. That's a great amount of time to connect with someone. You might meet someone on the trail, and there's that sort of 3k hike up out of Okataina, or after you've done the 5 to 6k loop, and you're sort of hiking up away from Okataina up the sort of 3k climb, which is about 300 meters. It's not like crazy ridiculous. That's plenty of time to connect with other runners on the course, in your race, get to know someone, have a yarn, tick away those Ks together, work together. That's awesome. Other little tricks is, like checking on the earphones after Okataina. That's probably something I would do. So Okataina is like, what is it, 50 something Ks through the 57 Ks through the 100k, and it's 115 odd Ks through the miler. I think if it was me racing, I think Okataina would be a really good place to check on the headphones and get some music on. Because it's like something that you're looking forward to on your way out there, and then you chuck them on. It's all business on the way back, So that's another, like, if you're that way inclined, that's another way to do it. So maybe it's convos on the way out, music and all business on the way back.
Get that uplifting, emotional song going, or what, like, I am the man, I am doing this, I am on fire, and I am rocking this, get all, like, euphoric.
Get that Rocky playlist out.
But not, yeah.
Yeah. Get that playlist going at your reality. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Okataina is a major, it's a main aid station. If you've got crew there, you'll see them, or a drop bag. So no doubt you'll have some little food treat or drink treat or whatever. I'd probably be downing some kind of iced mocha or something like that. I reckon. Good. And so you'll leave there feeling good as well. And so it's pretty cool. And then after that, you got that beautiful 5 odd K loop, which is just beautiful. We ran it there a few weeks ago. So just things to enjoy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like it's not Helen Back. It sounds like it's a glorious experience of Tarawera Ultra Marathon 2024.
Yeah, makes me want to do the 100K or the mile.
I'm going to hold off on that.
Yeah,
you go for it.
So yeah, that's hopefully that helps, like, you guys just sort of reframe like some stuff. And we really are what we tell ourselves we are. And I used to think that this stuff was bullshit. Seriously, I did. I used to think like mental, like programming, or what we tell ourselves, like, was real, like, caca. But I've come to learn over the years that it's not. And these things that we tell ourselves subconsciously and consciously really help to shape what we believe and who we are and what experiences that we can have.
It's a touching anecdote.
Pretty cool, eh? General tips. Other general tips for having a good day at Tarawera Ultra?
Do the training.
This is like a broken record for us.
Yeah, it's just
everything comes back to do the training for us. Because
training doesn't just include. You don't just do the training just to get the physical gains, the leg muscles. You do it to figure out what you're good at, what you like, what you need to work on, and then obviously you do get the,
adaptations. Yeah.
Yes.
Your GI, you train your GI in training through running and eating and fueling. You know what you like. Parts of the course, which types of terrains and gradients that you're strong on and not so strong on. So you get to enhance your strengths and strengthen your weaknesses. All that kind of stuff. Yeah. And you get to simulate mental resilience as well. And that's why I quite love, like, putting in some hard finishes at the end of, like, long trail aerobic runs. You can put in a hard finish, and it helps to stimulate some mental resilience and your top end fitness as well.
Totally, yeah. It's like,
so good.
Yeah, it's kind of like telling yourself, if I can run X amount of pace after running X amount of hours, then I'm sweet.
Yes.
Cool.
Breaking the day down to smaller chunks. This is a great one, eh? Like, for any race, actually, like, doesn't matter what the distance is, but just breaking your race down into smaller chunks. So that might be aid stations is a really obvious and popular one. But I think, segments of the course as well is another one.
Yeah.
Especially in relation to Western Okataina as well. Like, there's a turn. So when you're, like, on your way back or on your way down, but so let's say you're on your way back from Okataina back towards Miller for the second time. At the top of the 3K climb, there is a turn. It's like a little junction, and you'll see a sign there. It says Miller Road 11Ks, and then there's a lookout to the right. I think it's actually 12Ks to Miller. Just you might clock 12Ks, but that's a nice, it's a nice, like, mark as well to, like, know that that's coming and that you'll see that, and it kind of breaks up that little, when you get there to that sign, that you've done that big that big climb out, and so you're done there, and that's nice. And then it's on to a bit more runnable, undulating.
Nice, yeah.
Another one is that sort of 2Ks before Miller. So when you're coming back towards Miller, about 1.5 to 2Ks before that, you'll notice that you're just going down. Like you'll start that descent. If you look at the elevation profile, you'll see it. And then it's just beautiful running down. And there's not really any more ups like prior to getting to Miller. And you just know that once you're on there, that's another one. So once you start to add these little bits in, that 18.2K trip back, it's not very long.
Here we go.
Another little chunk is that 5 to 6K loop directly after Okataina. Like, it's beautiful, flat, beautiful, and that's a real beautiful forest. And you might just be using that time to fuel and that kind of thing before the hike up. And so you just sort of break down like these sections within sections, and so yeah, mental tips. It's just help break up the race.
Yeah, and I suppose that just leads into the next one of like stay in the moment, like follow the process. And I like to think this is kind of like stay in the moment but also think ahead in a way. So I like to have a process, a checklist in my brain. And it might be like, what's my heart rate? Have I eaten? What am I going to eat next? Am I drunken? What am I going to drink next?
How do I feel?
And then, and then adapting to what's happening at the moment. And I suppose it's just like leading up to what Chris was just talking about. It's like, okay, it's like 5Ks to the next aid station. Like, do I need to like change anything about how hard I'm going right now, or things like that? Like, and if you're like in a spot of bother, and it's like, that's when it's really important to stay in the moment, because, if you're calm, you'll be able to think what's the appropriate responses to the problem. But if you're frazzled and you're just like, you get brain fog, really.
You won't think clear.
Yeah, and you're like, nah, I'll be sweet. I've got this nagging blister on my toe, but I'll be sweet because I need to get to that. I need to get to that 15-hour 100K time.
Errors start compounding on top of themselves.
Yeah.
And our brain uses so much energy. Like if we're doing a lot of unnecessary thinking, like our brain just uses so much energy and tires us out.
Yeah, and I think that for a majority of people, like, you can actually enjoy the moment that you're on. Like, you're not going that fast. We're not Dan Jones going for a sub 8-hour 100K, which is, I don't know what that's like. Can't run that fast. But if you're like the sort of like, mid pack, like there is an opportunity to look up and look around and take in the moment. And, use that, like, smile at that person, say hello to that person.
That's a really good one too.
Like, don't, as much as I'm saying, like, there's a checklist in my brain, there is also what's going on in front of my eyes. And, like, especially if this is, like, your first 100K or 100 mile, like, you're never going to be able to do a first 100K or 100 mile again. So you may as well...
Totally. First ones are so special, eh?
Yeah, you may as well just take as much as you can out of the day. And that means like every moment is special.
And sharing your hellos with other fellow runners as well. I remember with my another thing as well, another one of my little tricks actually is if I am feeling rough in a like big ultra, I will sort of latch on to someone.
Oh, yeah?
And be like, hey, how are you? What's your name? Tell me your life story.
I don't want to think about myself right now.
Please, yeah. Please tell me everything. If you got any stuff you want to share, like I'm here. You can tell everything.
As long as I don't think about me right now, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm telling myself a shit story right now. I'm telling myself all these delusions.
Yeah, and that's such a good thing. Just getting out of ourselves and sharing some trail time with someone, having them share your story, and it's amazing the conversations that come out of that, and you end up sharing, you start feeling better because of their sharing with you, and then you start sharing something with yourself, and that's an amazing thing that happened to me several times in big ultras. So it's another little tip there as well.
Yeah, that's fun.
And I think I was just thinking before as well, like how do we plan our runners and athletes? How do we plan their ultras? I think that's a cool little thing to share. In relation to 100k or 100 miles, whether it's this race or any, we sort of like have a plan, like we sort of talked about at the top, didn't we? Like in regards to heart rate and feel and looking at activities that they've done in training, and typically we will prepare someone for about the first 60 odd Ks of 100k and the first 100 to 120 of a miler. And I think it's great to have a plan, like in terms of like execution, in terms of effort and exertion, level of exertion, whether that's heart rate or feel, up until that point, and then after that, you're out there, your coach isn't running alongside you at that point. You're out there, and I think that's the beautiful magic, like to successful races, I think, isn't it? Like even shorter ones is you execute that first 50 to 60% of the race as per like the plan, and then after that it's like all go. It's like intuition and expressing yourself from there, based on what you feel that you have like in you, and that's pretty epic.
I was just about to go back to the starting thing, like, so like as the runner, even if you're being coached, you know more than you probably realize in terms of like how to race, like you ultimately like know yourself the best, and you're in that moment, and like you just take all the learnings from like this podcast, if talking to Chris and I or Kim, or even talking to other like people in your running community, like probably more than you realize. And it's just about that education, I guess, and just
it's like information paralysis can be another. Here we are putting out information, but
keep it simple.
I guess take the bits of information that work for you as well. So personal preference come into it, and that kind of thing.
Cool.
So I think we're kind of done on this. So I mean, we do this sort of stuff with our group. There's a big difference between following a training plan and being a coach and being coached. We have one-on-one interactions with our runners and athletes, and this is the sort of stuff that we do. We help prepare them for races and executing this stuff, such as we've just talked about, or working through mental challenges that they might have as an individual. And just reach out to us, like if you want help for your running, anything to do with your running.
Yes, please do.
And coming up we're going to do a podcast. The next one we're going to do, isn't it?
Yes.
What's that on again?
Crew and pacing?
No, just crewing.
Just crewing. Take away the pacing.
Take away the pacing.
Just crewing.
There was a pacing segment in the 100 miler video on our channel, so we did talk about pacing. Remember we did?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
So in the 100 mile video, somewhere in there,
nice.
You have to watch the whole thing to find it. I think it's in the last sort of
probably when people can start pacing.
Yeah.
120 k's in.
But we're going to record a video and podcast just about crewing, how to crew your runner. All stuff to do with that.
Awesome.
All right, my friends. Catch you on the next one. See you in a couple of weeks.
Bye.